Welcome to the Snips Media, a quiet space for timeless wisdom. Here we explore the ideas, teachings, and inner truths that have guided humanity across centuries, not to tell you what to think, but to invite you to reflect. Today we turn our attention to Thomas Hobbes, Why Order Matters. More than you think, there's a question most people avoid. What would happen if there were no rules, no authority, no structure? Not imperfect leadership, not flawed systems, none at all. That's the question Thomas Hobbes asked in the 1600s, and his answer was unsettling. Hobbes lived during the English Civil War, a time of instability, violence, and political collapse. He wasn't theorizing from comfort. He was observing what happens when society fractures. In his most famous work, Leviathan, Hobbes describes something called the state of nature. This is not a jungle, not a dystopian fantasy. It's simply a world without a central authority. No shared power, no enforcement, no agreed structure, just individuals, equal in vulnerability, equal in desire. And that's the key word, equal. Hobbes believed that human beings are naturally equal, not in strength or intelligence, but in the ability to harm one another. Anyone can threaten anyone. And when resources are limited, when security is uncertain, when trust is fragile, competition becomes inevitable. In that state, Hobbes says, life becomes solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. It's one of the most quoted lines in political philosophy, but it's often misunderstood. Hobbes was not saying humans are evil. He was saying humans are self-preserving. When survival feels uncertain, people act defensively. And when everyone acts defensively, fear spreads. Fear creates preemptive action. Preemptive action creates conflict. Conflict creates instability. And instability destroys peace. So what was Hobbes's solution? Not kindness, not optimism, not hoping humans become better. His solution was structure, authority, a central power strong enough to enforce peace. He called this authority the Leviathan, a symbolic sovereign who holds enough power to prevent society from collapsing into chaos. To Hobbes, freedom without structure is not liberation, it is vulnerability. Now, here's where this becomes interesting for us today. Most modern conversations focus on limiting authority. Hobbes asked a different question. What problem was authority solving in the first place? He believed that people willingly give up some freedoms in exchange for security, not because they love control, but because they fear instability. And stability is the foundation of everything: commerce, culture, innovation, trust. Without order, none of those things survive. But Hobbes' teaching isn't just political, it's psychological. Think about your own life. Where there is no structure, there is drift. Where there are no boundaries, there is confusion. Where there is no discipline, there is internal chaos. The state of nature exists within individuals too. If you remove self-control, remove direction, remove standards, you don't experience freedom. You experience disorder. Hobbes understood something uncomfortable. Peace requires constraint. Now, this doesn't mean blind obedience, it doesn't mean unquestioned authority, but it does mean recognizing a simple truth. Order is not accidental. It is constructed, maintained, protected, and sometimes enforced. Hobbes forces us to confront a question modern society often avoids. Are humans naturally cooperative, or cooperative because structure makes it safe to be? He believed that without a shared power to keep everyone accountable, trust eventually collapses. Not because people are monsters, but because uncertainty breeds fear, and fear reshapes behavior. In contrast to philosophers who believed in natural harmony, Hobbes believed harmony is engineered. Stability is designed, peace is negotiated and defended. And whether you agree with him or not, his ideas shaped the modern concept of the social contract. the idea that we trade some individual liberty for collective security. That agreement forms the foundation of civilization. So what does Hobbes teach us today? 3 things. First, human nature is predictable under pressure. When threatened, people prioritize survival. Second, order is fragile. It feels permanent until it isn't. Third, freedom without structure is unstable. True liberty depends on secure foundations. Hobbes wasn't optimistic, but he was clear. He didn't write about the world as it should be. He wrote about the world as it behaves. And that's why his work still matters. Because whether in governments, communities, or individual lives, the tension between freedom and order never disappears. It must be balanced, consciously, deliberately, intentionally. In the end, Hobbes leaves us with a quiet realization. Civilization is not the default. It is the achievement, and it survives only as long as structure holds.